What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we are back with another video on ways to help improve your car photography. Now, in this next series of videos, we're going to be doing 4 of them. In this next series of videos, we're going to be talking about ways to do really good highlights. Now, what highlights are different ways to get your viewers' eyes into the section of the photo that you want them to look at. And I break these into 4 categories, but they can be done a bunch of different ways in terms of how you name them. But for me, when I'm doing them, I look at 4 categories. I look at distraction, distortion, value, and framing. And don't worry, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'm going to go into a quick overview of each one. Now, with distraction is adding or taking away something in your photo that brings your viewers' eyes to that section. Whether it's models, whether it's props, whether it's turning lights on in one area and off in another area. There's a lot of creativity that goes into doing distraction. So distraction is one of the toughest ones to explain. All you have to do is understand the concept of it, but from there on you get to then be as open to creativity as you want. Now, with distortion is mainly all done with the camera and editing, but you also want to start off with a crisp photo. Distortion is, to put it simply, blurring out portions of your picture or making certain portions of your picture illegible so that the person's eyes are drawn to what they can see. That can be done as simple as adjusting the aperture on your camera, or again, adjusting lighting so certain things can't be viewed. Now with this car, for example, you can see that me and the car are both in focus, but if I wanted to do a distortion, I would then put the car as a blurred out background, which then brings your attention into me. That is a variation on distortion. Now with value is one of the trickiest ones to pull off, but if you can do it, it's one of the sickest ways to make a car stand out. Value is all about how you place cars in the frame of your photo so that one thing seems to be more important than the other. Now, with value, there are other ways to do it, such as making one thing a different color, but the basics that are very easy to repeat are location. So for example, let's say if I have 3 cars. One car would be so far away that you're not paying attention to it, like those trees that are in the background. I guarantee you guys haven't looked at these trees the whole time, even though they've been there the whole time. It's because your eyes have deemed that they're not important. Your eyes have also looked at the car behind me, but you're not staring at the car because I'm talking. I am the thing that draws your attention. So with value, you have things at different levels of view that then bring your attention to it. Now, while I'm still talking to the camera, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a difference in value. If I was to just step out of this shot while still talking, you're now paying attention to the car as if I'm narrating some type of story, and you're supposed to be looking at the picture of the car. Although most of the stuff hasn't changed, your attention is now drawn somewhere else. That is how we work value, and that's all on product, location, so that things become more important as they get closer or further away. I could be really close to the camera and just as easily make you pay attention to something else. And lastly, one of the most common ones that people love to play around with, but you can easily mess it up, is framing. Now, framing is different than leading lines. Framing is when you have your subject, whether it's a car or a model or a building, and what you do is you actually use things in the environment or props to cut off portions of the photo that then bring your attention exactly to where you want. You'll see people do this with shooting through bushes or shooting through guardrails or shooting around buildings. All those things are there to help you bring your focal point to what exactly you want the person to look at. Now, I've explained the basic general premise of how to do each one of these, but I haven't given you guys details. So what we're going to be doing over the next few videos is going into detail on how to accomplish each one with ease and with the ability to repeat it, because a lot of times, like we said with the angle video, we come across these really sick photos and then we're like, man, I wish I could do that again. I wonder why that one looks so good. And all I'm doing is giving you guys the tips and tricks on how to go about repeating these photos. As you get better, you start to kind of just rattle these things off without any type of effort, but in the beginning, it's always good to have like a little step in the right direction so you can kind of shorten the learning curve a little bit and you get up to where you're trying to get with basic photography. Now, there are people who have been doing this for tons of years longer than I have, and I've gotten pretty good really fast just by following a couple of the rules and tips that I'm giving you guys now. So what I'm gonna do today is give you guys a couple of pre-tips, just like we did with angles before, pre-tips to help you guys get ready for this. First off, know what type of shot you're going for. If you're gonna be going for distortion stuff, that's gonna directly adjust the way you're gonna place things. Because if you go to do a distortion photo, you wanna make sure that the things you're distorting are easy to distort. If you go and you shoot a distorted photo around a lot of busy stuff, it becomes very difficult for those things to disappear because of just having to do more work with the camera. You'll have a lot of different levels of depth, and because of that, certain things might blur out perfectly and other things might still be a little legible. So you want to make sure that when you're blurring those things out, you give yourself a good depth of field that allows you the ability to distort easily. Now, when we talk about framing, framing is all about where you place things. Framing is all about, if I'm going to be shooting around a building, I might have to wiggle this car up and back a few times before I get the exact angle I want, because like we said before with the angle videos, you have to know what angle you're trying to shoot from before you place things. Because if you just park the car next to a wall and start trying to shoot around the wall, it might take you forever when it could have taken you 2 or 3 minutes, because you knew what angle you're trying to get and what you were trying to highlight. With distraction, as I said before, you are allowed to be as creative as you want, but when you're doing distraction, the biggest place that people fail is overdoing distraction. Doing too much can make what would otherwise be a very clean photo easily destroyed. You got people with props going all over the place, you got magic light wands, and you got all this stuff that could make it so that your photo could have been good, but then you're compiling level on top of level, and then it ends up being very, very noisy, and then the person doesn't know where to look because there's a lot of stuff going on. And lastly, with value, it's kind of tough to say directly, but with value, I mean, I've been saying where you place stuff, where do you place stuff, where do you place stuff, but with value, it's probably the most important. Because if you don't have things at the right distance, the person's eyes easily get taken to something else. I'll give you another abstract example. If I had this car doing a mirror effect where I had multiple ones, which one would you look at? Would you look at the one that's really close? After a certain point of getting really close, like if you look at my hand, after a certain level of getting really close, you start to stop looking at it, you start looking at the thing that's behind it. Likewise, if my hand's really far away, you don't look at it as much. So when you're doing value, whether it's left to right or depth in and out, you always want to make sure that you know exactly how you're trying to highlight this one. And with value, there's another way to do it, which kind of overlaps with distraction. Headlights, one car's headlights are on and the other ones are off. All the cars are one color, and then another car just happens to stand out as being a different color. Those type of things really allow, when you jump into doing different types of highlights, it makes it very easy to then be able to repeat it because you know what you're working for. Now, as I said, I hope this video wasn't too lengthy because this isn't the actual video. The next 4 videos are going to touch on each one directly. We're going to be starting off with distortion in the coming video, then we'll go distraction, then we'll go value, and we'll finish with framing. After that, we'll be moving on to dealing with or working with models. I'll be using Felicia in that video, so you guys get to look forward to seeing her model around. But with that being said, guys, as always, thank you for tuning in to the Car Couple channel. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Follow the Car Couple Instagram at carcouple_ZG, and we will catch you in the next one.
Yeah.